So let's just settle, try and bring your mind to the same place your body is. Excuse me. So let's just try and access some of that stillness we've been talking about. You know, we've been, some of us have been doing this practice now together for almost 2 years. So I'm wondering, for those people, perhaps you've noticed some change in your life, because I think this consistency is super important. And there's others of you who've been, have joined us now for almost a year as well. So it's a long time. And I really appreciate you all coming again and again. It's fantastic. So whatever is going on for you this evening, just know that it's perfectly okay, however it is you're showing up this evening. So check your sitting posture. Sit bones slightly raised, knee cushions under your knees if you need them. And imagine your spine is a string of pearls of light stretching from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. So you imagine someone is above you, very gently lengthening your spine, putting some space in between those vertebrae. And just feel those muscles very gently lengthening, lengthening, lengthening. The head is very slightly tipped forward, eyes are down, looking along the length of the nose, and the tip of the tongue is on the roof of the mouth. And relax the jaw. And bring your awareness to the crown of your head. And Lorraine, if you could please mute yourself, that'd be great. Thank you. Relax the scalp and the forehead, the eyes, the cheeks, the mouth, back of the head. Relax the ears, the inner ear, the temples, the jaw, again, back of the tongue. Release any tension in the back of the neck. Allow your shoulder blades and your shoulders just to drop down. Relax the throat, the chest and the belly, limbs, hands, fingers and feet and toes. And just bring the mind to the breath. Just noticing, becoming aware of the sensation of the air as you're inhaling and exhaling. Just focusing on the breath. Allow your mind to be still. And if there are any sounds in your environment, just allow those sounds to be there. Try not to run off to investigate with the mind. And then notice the thoughts that are arising. Perhaps you're in a different space than you were this time last night. So maybe notice that difference, that change. Perhaps last night you were feeling one thing and then tonight you're thinking and feeling something completely different. But underneath all of that, there's this stability of who you really are, this still, quiet place, this still pool. So we're trying to access that. It's underneath all the garbage. So whatever is arising in the mind, whether it's garbage or positive qualities, you just watch and look and notice what's there, like an objective observer. We're sitting on the bank of our river and just watching that river flow by, and then we're free. So again, the benefit of doing this equanimity meditation again and again, day after day, is that you might notice that there's some slight changes in the friend, enemy, stranger categories. So we'll bring to mind all these people of our life who we have, deep, profound, loving, caring relationships with, constructive relationships. And then there's those folk in our life who we find a tad difficult. And then there's all the strangers. And we think of them all in this way of that they're all equal in their wish to be happy and their wish to be free from suffering. And they all have this incredible capacity for this enlightened mind. So I think that we'll do this meditation tonight for all these people of our life. And maybe there's someone in particular you would like to bring into your meditation. Maybe just place them beside you. Imagine they're here with you doing the meditation. And then we think of all the sentient beings. So I often think of the birds outside. We have some bird feeders outside here, and it's quite a community coming and going. And we have a big tree out the back that's turning red and yellow right now. And there's many, many birds inside that tree. So I think of them as well. So remembering there is no negativity that cannot be purified. And this purification process is basically a psychological one. So we're creating negativity with our mind. So we can equally counteract that and create positivity with our mind. So here we come to the power of regret, the first of the 4 opponent powers. So sincerely regret from the depths of your heart anything you have done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in all of our past lives. And think of specific actions of both your body and your speech. And then in general, regret all. And the reason to regret is based on this logic of karma. And we experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions. So having harmed others, we ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future. We cannot bear the thought of any kind of future suffering that we ourselves will experience. So we know from our present suffering, we don't want any more. So logically, we want to remove the karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So think like this. I regret from the depths of my heart, having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows because I do not want the future suffering. I'm sick of suffering. So just regret any anger and attachment, all our delusions basically, which are the reason, the cause of why we harm others, and think, I'm sick of this suffering. And then think, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So here we come to the power of reliance. So we rely upon the Buddha, who we see as a doctor, not as a higher power. So this doctor has the methods that we can use to heal ourselves, that we can use to purify ourselves. And it's not that we're needing the Buddha to forgive us, we're purifying ourselves by relying upon his methods. So imagine Vajrasattva above the crown of your head. And you can also imagine he's your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. It's made of radiant, blissful white light, sitting cross-legged on a white lotus and a moon cushion. And this white lotus, although born out of mud, is untainted by that mud, just like our enlightened potential, which is born out of our delusions, yet untainted by them. And he has this radiant, blissful face. His eyes are long and peaceful and full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life. He has a sweet red mouth. His hair is black and held up in a top knot. His arms are crossed at his heart, the left underneath the right. The left is holding a bell representing wisdom. The right is holding a vajra, which represents the indestructibility of compassion. And their being crossed represents the union of these two, symbolizing enlightenment itself, the development of infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened by this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva. May I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So in order to develop compassion, we need to rely upon other beings, the very beings we have harmed, and those who have harmed us, by developing compassion for them. So think particularly of someone you may have harmed recently. Just bring them to mind. And then perhaps someone you've harmed in the past, and perhaps maybe in general all beings we have ever harmed since beginning this time. And then think about those people who have harmed you. So perhaps because of the harm they've done to you, it's a little bit more difficult to feel compassion towards them. But because of the harm they've caused you, they're going to experience suffering in the future. So make a strong aspiration to do this practice of purification for the sake of all these sentient beings, and think I must purify for their sake. So here we come to the power of the remedy. And this is the actual medicine, doing this practice of purification. So we start with the purification of the body, and we're using light and nectar and recitation of mantra to purify. So Vajrasattva is very compassionately sending powerful white nectar, like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart. And it arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely. And it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you have ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid. And this pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left, as you recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dira Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mepiyata Sawa Kama Sutame Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Trida Meboa, Sutokaya Meboa, Supokaya Meboa, Anarakta Meboa, Sawasidi Mempiyata Sawa Kama Sitame, Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum, Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Aham Pe. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya, Vajrasattva Dina Patita, Trida Meboa, Sutokaya Meboa, Supokaya Meboa, Anarakta Meboa, Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sitame, Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum, Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Aham Pe. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya, Vajrasattva Dina Patita, Tida Meboa, Sutokaya Meboa, Supokaya Meboa, Anarakta Meboa, Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sitame, Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum, Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Aham Pe. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya, Vajrasattva Dina Patita, Tida Meboa, Sutokaya Meboa, Supokaya Meboa, Anarakta Meboa, Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sitame, Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum, Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Aham Pe. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya, Vajrasattva Dina Patita, Tida Meboa, Sutokaya Meboa, Supokaya Meboa, Anarakta Meboa, Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sitame, Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum, Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Aham Pe. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya, Vajrasattva Dina Patita, Tida Meboa, Sutokaya Meboa, Supokaya Meboa, Anarakta Meboa, Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sitame, Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum, Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Aham Pe. So be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified. And just think there's no way you could do anything other than benefit others now with your body. So the next is a purification of speech. And again, Vajrasattva very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra. And this arcs around and forcefully enters your crown, filling your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech. And this overflows and disappears into space, not one atom left. So just imagine all the gossip and the harsh speech and the useless speech and lying and talking badly about others behind their backs and getting other people to agree with you. All of this is purified by this powerful nectar filling you and overflowing as you recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Duda Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasini Mepi Yata Sawa Kama Sutame Sitam Shriyam Karuhum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Aham Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Duda Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mepi Yata Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Karuhum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Duda Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mepi Yata Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Karuhum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Duda Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mepi Yata Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Karuhum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Duda Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mepi Yata Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Karuhum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Duda Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mepi Yata Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Karuhum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Duda Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mepi Yata Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Karuhum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Aham Pe. Again, feel so happy that your speech is now completely purified. And imagine it's not possible that you could do anything but benefit others now with your speech. And the next is a purification of the mind. So Vajrasattva now very compassionately sends powerful beams of light, this time from his heart chakra. And this light arcs around and enters your crown and fills your entire being. So it's just the same as when you walk into a pitch black room and you switch on the light, that light instantly dispels the darkness. So the same here, the moment the light from Vajrasattva's heart touches your heart, all the darkness of the negativity of your mind, so all the attachment and neediness and anger and depression and resentment and jealousy and bitterness and grudges are all instantly dispelled, not one atom left as you recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Duda Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mepi Yata Sawa Kama Sitame Sitam Shriyam Karuhum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Duda Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta me bawa sawa siddhi me piyata sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabala mahasamaya sattva aham pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita dita me bawa sutokaya me bawa supokaya me bawa Anarakta me bawa sawa siddhi me piyata sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabala mahasamaya sattva aham pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita dita me bawa sutokaya me bawa supokaya me bawa Anarakta me bawa sawa siddhi me piyata sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabala mahasamaya sattva aham pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita dita me bawa sutokaya me bawa supokaya me bawa Anarakta me bawa sawa siddhi me piyata sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabala mahasamaya sattva aham pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita dita me bawa sutokaya me bawa supokaya me bawa Anarakta me bawa sawa siddhi me piyata sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabala mahasamaya sattva aham pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita dita me bawa sutokaya me bawa supokaya me bawa Anarakta me bawa sawa siddhi me piyata sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabala mahasamaya sattva aham pe So be delighted that all your delusions, which are the cause of all of our own suffering and the cause of why we harm others with our body and our speech, are totally purified. And think there is no space in your heart now for anything other than love and kindness, forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. So next is the purification of even the imprints of negativity of the body, speech and mind. So just imagine this time Vajrasattva sends light and nectar. Just pours into you, filling you completely. And as we've been doing, if you wish, you can also do a couple of mantras and visualize body, speech, and mind we've just done. Anyway, this light and nectar fills you completely and eradicates even the subtlest imprints of negative energy from your mind as you recite. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita dita me bawa sutokaya me bawa supokaya me bawa Anarakta me bawa sawa siddhi me piyata sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabala mahasamaya sattva aham pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita dita me bawa sutokaya me bawa supokaya me bawa Anarakta me bawa sawa siddhi me piyata sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabala mahasamaya sattva aham pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita dita me bawa sutokaya me bawa supokaya me bawa Anarakta me bawa sawa siddhi me piyata sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabala mahasamaya sattva aham pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita dita me bawa sutokaya me bawa supokaya me bawa Anarakta me bawa sawa siddhi me piyata sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabala mahasamaya sattva aham pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita dita me bawa sutokaya me bawa supokaya me bawa Anarakta me bawa sawa siddhi me piyata sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabala mahasamaya sattva aham pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita dita me bawa sutokaya me bawa supokaya me bawa Anarakta me bhava savasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutsa vajrabala mahasamaya sata aham pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Dita me bhava sutokaya me bhava supokaya me bhava Anarakta me bhava savasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan Sawa tata gata vajramami mutsa vajrabala mahasamaya sata aham pain. Now feel you are completely purified, not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. Just imagine even the subtlest imprints or the subtlest obscurations to your enlightenment have been removed. So now we come to the power of resolve, and this is just where we make a decision to work on something, whether it's a rumination, making up stories in our own mind. But before we have to kind of refrain from that, we've got to actually even recognize that we're doing it. So that might be a positive action that we could take, is to take more notice perhaps of what's going on in the mind, figure that out as we do at the beginning of the meditation, and then, okay, so that's something that maybe I can deal with, and maybe try and refrain from doing it, or being aware of it, having a wish to perhaps not to do that. And then when you do catch yourself doing it, or it starts to arise in the mind, take a step back from it and say, okay, for 30 seconds, I'm going to put some space in between those thoughts. So something simple like that, but make it doable. And don't start with anything that's too difficult. Start with something easy. Okay, so Vajrasattva is delighted with us and wanting to merge with your mind, melts into white light and absorbs into you through your crown. And think, my guru's body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same thing. So Rinpoche recommends meditate on a little bit on emptiness. So in emptiness, there is no I, the creator of negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma. And there is no negative karma created. So at whatever level you understand emptiness, place your mind there for a little while. And so in this way, we can think of all phenomena as being empty. They do not exist from their own side. You can also think that perhaps the way things are appearing to me may not necessarily be the way they exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy you've created doing this purification to all living beings, and think, may all the virtuous karma I've created from doing this practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. And for His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, to the incomparably kind Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. And for Lama Zopa Rinpoche, O Tup Shu Chang Jin Jam Gon Galloway, Tenzin Kyong Pelway, Kunzo Dog Porze, Chog Sum Kurwe Leg Mon to a Drew. Pa dag sog dulje gong du jab ten shog. And I'm Ursel, Venerable One, to you whose kindness exceeds that of all the conquerors, for those wanderers in far-off places, especially the West, mindful of your loving concern for us and intentionally descending again into a family of a far distant land, we make this request. O Lama, please live long. And Vikeshishera, a beloved teacher, leading your students toward wisdom and compassion, explaining through exacting discernment the steps of the graduated path. You are the unequal guide. Please live a long and stable life.